Aaron Cohen, Israeli Special Ops counterterrorism veteran. Prince Aaron, welcome to the show. I am quite disturbed. I am really quite disturbed to read about all these stories. Antony Blinken telling the Israeli War Cabinet they don't have the credit or the credibility to go into southern Gaza and try to basically twist arms, stay out, lengthen the truce period. I mean, I just don't understand any of this stuff. All I want is the IDF to carry through on its mission of annihilating Hamas without any armchair generals like Antony Blinken, or for that matter, Joe Biden. But what say you, Aaron Cohen? You've been in there and you know all about this stuff.
Well, I guess, when Antony Blinken was studying politics or whatever he was studying, I was studying tradecraft, and he's got a lot to learn. So here's where I'm at with all this, Larry. The resumption of the campaign is one of the most critical pieces here, and we've talked about that. Israel's Sir Lachatz, translated, that pressure cooker campaign that they brilliantly rolled out for over a month in Gaza, is the sole reason why Hamas was begging for that ceasefire. And that ceasefire came about only because Israel agreed to get those hostages back, because that's our #1 priority. The 8 days that were used to get those hostages back caused a pause. Now, it wasn't too long of a pause, but it was enough of a pause for Hamas to get those missiles and rearm, where they're keeping that weaponry in different tunnels throughout Israel. I believe that Hamas also moved to the southern portion of Israel, Khan Yunis. So it's going to be a big piece that Israel's going to have to deal with next. But the fact is that Israel was also able to use that time to gather intelligence. And that intelligence, as I've mentioned, is a friend to counterterrorism. I think the main issue right now, what they're talking about at Glilot or Mossad HQ and the IDF HQ, is the fact that Qatar, which is the same country that houses Ismail Haniyeh and Khalid Mashal, the two fat cats of Hamas, is leading the negotiations. And my question is, how can that be in good faith? And that's why the number Israel believes, or I believe, was only at about 30% of the release rate for the hostages. Had another country been intermediary, like Saudi Arabia, and they've got, they started opening the door with Israel in relations. They're starting to have those talks. Egypt's okay with Israel, too. The problem is I don't think Qatar's the right person to be negotiating. And that's one. Two, it's enough with the ceasefire. It's time to get back to work. And I've been saying it for the last couple of days. The moment Israel starts putting pressure, which they're doing right now, it's going to start to change the game again, because that's the only thing that Hamas understands. And while the Hamas terrorists are not afraid to die, and let me tell you what their slogan is, Larry. Hat al-Mut, which means to the death.
Yes.
I can assure you that those fat cats in Qatar,
yes,
and a couple of those terrorists sitting in those Israeli prisons are afraid to die.
All right.
And if Israel had a conversation about capital punishment, I'm sure that would scare Hamas a little bit with those leaders sitting in those prisons. So it's really about getting the leverage back, and that's what that ending of this ceasefire was about.
I
don't think Israel
Aaron.
had that leverage.
Aaron Cohen, the best of the best.